Yesterday, the Mesa County Sheriff's Office shared a statement about an ICE detainment made after a traffic stop outside of Loma. That happened on June 5th. Well, we got a statement from Governor Jared Polis's office earlier tonight about that detainment. Our colleague Kawamoto has been following the story and has more.
This is Caroline Dias Goncalves, who was pulled over by the Mesa County Sheriff's Office earlier this month, but later detained by ICE agents after a traffic stop outside of Loma. The individual is a 19-year-old student from the University of Utah who is currently being held at a detention center in Aurora. I spoke with legal experts to find out what's next for Caroline.
I was born in Brazil.
That was the voice of 19-year-old Caroline Dias Goncalves, who was pulled over for a routine traffic stop. It would be moments later she was detained by ICE.
I fear that these could become more common. I hope they're not. I hope this isn't a harbinger of what's to come. Because a person who's studying here, a person who's making positive contributions here, it seems like that person shouldn't suffer the heavy hand of enforcement.
We try to reach out to the Mesa County Sheriffs, and they tell us in a statement about the arrest stating, quote, "Through our administrative investigation, we have learned that the federal representatives within the communication group began using the material collected for drug interdiction efforts to extrapolate immigration information for the purposes of ICE enforcement. This use of information is contradictory to Colorado law and was initially intended for the purpose of reducing illegal drug trafficking in Colorado. Unfortunately, it resulted in the later contact between ICE and Ms. Dias Goncalves." End quote.
I'm from Utah.
You're from Utah? Okay. How long you lived in Utah for?
Like 12 years.
It's very unusual unless the person has a serious criminal record or unless the person has to pass through a jail. And when I say pass through a jail, usually this is a state level, although it could be federal level. ICE agents do check when people are booked into jail.
In an update, we got a statement from the governor's office saying, "It's deeply disappointing to see that the federal government is not focusing on dangerous criminals, which bipartisan Colorado leaders are calling for, but instead detaining a thriving college student with no criminal history who is, by all counts, in this country legally. Reports show Ms. Goncalves is a dreamer and therefore would be legally allowed to be in our great country." The governor urges the federal government to immediately release Ms. Goncalves, calls for more transparency into how immigration operations are being conducted in our state, and continues to call on Congress to do their part and pass real immigration reform that provides a pathway to citizenship and secures the border. According to numerous reports, Caroline, who is originally from Brazil, filed an asylum application that is pending.
A person with a green card should not be being deported. A person with a process in place, that an asylum application in place, unless they got involved in a super serious crime, why are you interrupting this process? So we tell them, be really, really careful.
Mark tells me the next steps for Caroline would be a master calendar hearing, where the judge outlines the rights of non-citizens. She can request a bond hearing showing she poses no danger or flight risk. The Mesa County Sheriff's Office also said in a statement, "We would like to reiterate that we were unaware that the communication group was used for anything other than drug interdiction efforts, and that we have since removed all Mesa County Sheriff's Office members from the communication group." We also reached out to ICE for comment, but we have not heard back yet. Reporting in studio, I'm Kawamoto.